All right, everyone's quiet, so I guess we can begin. Welcome to the 6th annual Niels Bohr Lecture in Cultural Psychology. It's really nice to see so many people here for really the last few days of our really generously funded grant by Denmark's National Research Foundation. This is their logo here. And don't worry, though, we're not going to be rich anymore, but we hope to be rich in ideas. The center will continue to exist beyond the life of the grant, and we hope to also continue to have these Niels Bohr lectures, probably in a year and a half from now, so you can look out for installment number 7 in the future. In the beginning, I'd just like to take a few minutes to review some of the previous lectures that we've had in this series, because I think they speak nicely to the diversity of work that we've done in the center, as well as the kind of international network that we've grown over these 5 years. This will provide an opportunity to both reflect on where we've come from, what we've done, and also sort of project a direction toward the future for our center, but also for cultural psychology more generally. So if you'll give me just 5 minutes, I will give you 5 Niels Bohr lectures. Well, almost exactly 5 years ago, we had Jan Valsner's opening lecture, director of our center here. And he really paid tribute to Niels Bohr and his principle of complementarity, this idea that objects have complementary properties which can't be observed simultaneously, kind of like the face in the vase that we're all familiar with from psychology. Yes? Yes. So in this lecture, we looked at the historical roots of this idea, and then we looked at how it might be useful for contemporary theorizing in cultural psychology. Others commented on it. Sven Brinkman looked at how we're all actors and observers in the drama of existence. Ivana Markova looked at it in terms of ego-alter relations and the concept of themata. Ram Hare also commented, looking at the notion of affordance through this epistemological framework. So 1 minute, minute number 2. Then we were lucky to have Tanya Zatoun from the University of Neuchâtel and Alex Gillespie from the London School of Economics. And they had earlier done this study where they digitalized the government's mass observation project during the Second World War, where they had people write diaries of their experience through the course of the war. And they used one of these particularly rich diaries to take on this big question for cultural psychology. How do individuals develop and gain agency through accumulating and integrating experiences? I encourage you to read the paper. I'm going to stick to my 1 minute here, but I'll just say that this brought together Tanya's focus on life course development and Alex's focus on neo-median theory of self-reflection. Moving right along. Then we had Carlos Cornejo from Pontificia Universidad Católica de Chile. And he took on this question of imagination and did a kind of conceptual history of imagination, starting from Goethe and this more vitalistic concept of imagination, and traced it all the way up to present-day theorizing, where imagination had become kind of a cognitive faculty, where the mind manipulates things in that, manipulates things in the mind's eye, rotates them. And it had sort of lost this more vitalistic, enchanted property. So by doing this cultural, conceptual history, he aimed to revitalize this concept of imagination and psychology more generally. Okay, minute number 4. Then we had Ali Mohadam from Georgetown University, and he took up the question of democracy. But rather than looking at it through institutions and practices such as voting, he focused on it from a psychological perspective, looking at the mentality of a democratic person, asking questions like, why is it that after revolutions in which people aspire for democracies, we often end with even more brutal dictatorships. And he approached this through this question of the political plasticity of people and the characteristics of the democratic personality. Moving right along, Steve Brown and Paula Reavie, who will be here tomorrow morning. Steve Brown from Open University, Paula Reavie from London South Bank University. They had this wonderful title for their lecture, Memory in the Wild, from Hutchins' Cognition in the Wild, sort of echoing this same idea of taking psychological processes out of the head and putting them into the broader constellation of relationships between material features of the environment and various social processes as well. So they looked at this issue of autobiographical remembering, not as a kind of mental process up here, but as what they call a setting level achievement, where the whole constellation of people, objects, contribute to what we remember and shape what we remember. So I hope that I was 5 minutes. I think I was. Now we go full circle to bring Jan Valsner in again to have him reflect on where we've come over these last 5 years to project a direction forward. So thank you so much, Jan.